Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe. If you dare. I threw a $3,000 engagement ring that I never found. Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. What was the worst thing that you did/said while being angry? Number 1. A drill sergeant threw a padlock at the ground when he was fake pissed about something. Popped a guy in the knee and had him in crutches for weeks. Dude got medically discharged while in basic. Number 2. I told my mom I hated her. I was a kid, I absolutely forgive myself for having done it. I've had my own kids do the same thing to me when they didn't get their way. It happens, kids don't understand. But I know it hurt my mom and that hurt is still with her today, and I certainly regret it. She did nothing to deserve me saying that. Number 3. My dad was a loving father and I loved him with all my heart. He was like my best friend and there was nothing I couldn't tell him. But he was an alcoholic. Sometimes things got really bad and he was a mess and I tried to help him to get better. There were also times when he didn't drink, but that time he was drinking a lot and had a couple seizures. I was so worried about him and stayed at his place almost every night for a year. When I wasn't there, I always slept with my phone so he could call me if something was wrong. I was only 19 years old at the time, and one day I was so tired to take care of him that I said sometimes I wish he was dead so I can start living my own life. After I said it, I felt so bad and I didn't mean it. I loved him so much. Only 2 days later he was found dead at his house. He had a seizure because he had taken alcohol and some pills. That was the worst thing I have ever said and I wish I never said it. Number 4. I punched a wall when I caught my ex cheating on me. Now I have to live with this weird bump on my right hand. Probably a curled up tissue or cartilage of some sort. Number 5. When I was very young, I would occasionally hit someone when I was angry. The very last time this happened was in 6th grade. My best friend and I got into a little fight and I hit her as hard as I could on the arm. The look on her face is what snapped me back. She looked as if she had never been hit by anyone ever and was obviously very hurt both physically and emotionally. I felt immediate guilt and I swore then and there to never do it again and to be in better control of my emotions. Glad I learned that lesson early. Number 6. I punched my car door once when my brother wouldn't open it for me. Immediately regretted it once I saw the dent. Also cost me a couple hundred to get that dent fixed. Number 7. I cashed out she was seeing someone else, and threw a $3,000 engagement ring that I never found. Number 8. In middle school, one of my classmates was permanently in a wheelchair. He was also a bit of a bully. He was making fun of me and a friend, and in the middle of it I said, "Come on, friend, let's go find some stairs." I still cringe pretty hard about that. Number 9. My sister's ex-boyfriend was a volatile addict. Lied, stole, abused, destroyed, you name it, he did it. Still, she loved him, even after she left him. They kept in contact off and on, and he recently contacted her after leaving sober living, catching a federal charge, and overdosing, then being revived. He'd been an addict from age 14 on, got clean, and then gave it up. She was so mad and distraught at him for throwing away his sobriety that she said, "Just die already if that's what you're trying to effing do." She regretted it instantly and he knew she didn't mean it, but still, she said it. 2 weeks later, he died of an accidental overdose at 23. She's devastated. Number 10. I was being baited by a couple of people online. One of the girls tragically had lost her parents in the tsunami in Asia back in 2004-2005. Well, she really kept calling me heinous shit online and started getting others to do the same. She told me to say the worst thing I could as I was clearly too thick to think of any rebuttal. To cut a long story short, I said, "Your parents purposely jumped in the water to kill themselves as it'd be less painful than dealing with you." Needless to say, when I got into 6th form, UK 16 to 18 years, the next day, I got suspended pending investigation for 3 days. The silver lining is that they found evidence they baited me a lot and frequently bullied me, so they had to apologize in writing to me. Number 11. My brother was in middle school, and he biked there every day. I told him that I hoped he got run over. He was hit by a car that very morning and had to be revived 12 times that day. Nobody expected him to live. I've never gotten over what I said. He lived, against all odds. Number 12. I came close to killing a guy. And had the situation even been slightly different, I may have. A few years ago when I was 17, my dad, for lack of a better term, had everything failure. One after the next his organs just stopped functioning. And he was being kept alive by just about every machine medical science has produced so far. And in turn my father lost his ability to speak, so he needed someone to take over guardianship, so he had someone to make decisions for him. You have to be 18 to be a guardian, and I was only 17 at the time, so my mom applied for guardianship. Why wouldn't she be his guardian, right? She was denied guardianship. So as a result the court appointed some hoity-toity looking mother effer as his guardian instead. And this man would listen to nothing we had to say. I hated this man more than anything. My mom and I had decided at a point that the next time my dad would have some sort of organ attack we would allow the doctors to make him comfortable and let him go. The appointed guardian denied it. Finally, about 6 months later, I met this effer for the first time in my father's hospital room. He legally needed to tell my dad something in person, I guess, I'm not exactly sure. But my mom and I were there at the time, and the second I saw his wormy face I got up to give him a piece of my mind. I didn't ask. I didn't plead. I didn't beg. I demanded that the next time they can make him comfortable to let him go. And this scum of the earth had the audacity to look me in the eyes and tell me, "I'm keeping your father alive because by doing so he's earning me $10,000 a month." Let me tell you guys something. You've had road rage, maybe you've gotten mad at a game you're playing, you've probably had a pretty nasty argument with someone before. But pure, raw, unfiltered anger is the most intense emotion you will ever feel in your life. And when that man said that to me, I was literally seeing red. My blood started to rush and my knuckles turned hot. I punched this F so hard in his dicky face that it cracked his jaw. It was 100% adrenaline. If I tried punching anyone that hard again, I'd come up so short they'd probably laugh at me. But he stumbled backward, fell, and hit his head on the door handle. And I am incredibly thankful that this nurse was in the room, because he was this huge buff meat man that looked nothing like a nurse, but he was able to hold me back and restrained me. And I don't like to think this way, but had that nurse not been there that day, I may have actually killed this guy. Some other nurses come by and escort the F-face someplace, and my mom said we needed to go. Car ride home was pretty quiet. But as we approached the house, my mom parked the car and said, "I love you. I'm not mad at you for what you did. But brass tacks, you did assault that man. And you should prepare yourself to talk to the police." Couple more months passed and I finally turned 18, and the day I turned 18 I went and applied for guardianship of my dad. The court hearing was about a week later. Not only did I never hear from F-face or the police, but he handed over guardianship without any resistance. The hearing lasted all but 20 seconds. I like to think I knocked some sense into that guy. But who knows? Not like I was gonna ask him or anything. But yeah, that's the worst thing I've ever done out of anger. Number 13. When I was 3 years old, I got into a fight with my grandma. Nobody remembers what it was about anymore, but apparently it ended with me telling her to call me when she dies, so I could come visit Granddad. She says she never laughed so hard in her life before. Still, I can't help it but feel kind of bad each time she mentions it. Number 14. When my brother and I were kids, we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories on the PlayStation. I discovered a bug by accident that would allow you to duplicate cards, so I did it for our Meteor B dragons on both memory cards. The next day we had McDonald's and my McFlurry was missing, and I accused him of eating it. I was so mad that I stole his memory card and got rid of the duplicated dragons, with the nasty little note. He was heartbroken, and we later found out it was our mom that ate it. I still feel awful all these years later, but we have a great brother-sister relationship now. Number 15. I was helping two guy friends fix a transmission. One of them thought it would be funny to grab my breasts with his hands, leaving big oily handprints. I was pissed and ran after him, but he wasn't taking it seriously, laughing as he skipped away. I saw red, picked up a huge wrench, and chucked it at him. I saw it fly end over end and then hit his head in slow motion, but he dropped in fast forward. I just ran to get someone else. I knew he needed medical attention. He got 4 or 5 staples in his head, should have gotten stitches, but was afraid of needles, and a crazy scar. Funny thing is, he won't talk about it because he got beat by a girl. Effing ridiculous. The boys in the group stopped messing with me quite as much as they used to after that. But I could have seriously hurt him, or even killed him. It was a bad move. These were just friends. I'm not a mechanic by trade. This was 20 years ago. I'm no longer friends with this person. I know he won't talk about his scar because I'm still friends with his mother. And astonishingly, I have to clarify that I was absolutely mad about the sexual assault. Somehow some people got the idea that I was mad about the shirt. As if I'd be working on a transmission in a shirt I cared about at all. No, it wasn't the shirt. FFS, it was the unwanted assault. Number 16. I often hold my emotions in, and they all come bursting out at once with explosive consequences. At a job where I was just there for the paycheck and not much else, never going above and beyond, never volunteering. I had 2 bosses, one of whom was fair, and the other was a complete dick. Day after day, I cataloged things the dick manager did that was ineffective and useless often. It was clear he wasn't very good at his job and often used a punishment of others to mask his incompetencies. One day, when he wrote me up for being 5 minutes late to work, I said fine. Other that day, he wrote me up for taking a break that was too long by 2 minutes. Whatever. Even later, he called me into his office and said he was writing me up for delaying work because he'd observed me moving slowly. This was a bridge too far and I let him have it. I told he was out of his league, 10 years older than me, and would never amount to anything beyond the associate's degree from community college, and a job most high school seniors could do without the number of F-ups he had. I said he spent his time writing people up for being late when he waltzed in later than most workers most shifts, and was trying to hide his own flagrant rule breaking by pretending to be on top of others. No, I knew I wasn't a perfect employee, but if he spent less time on his computer and more time with the workers, he wouldn't have to write me up for being slow. He'd have to write himself up for being slow because he'd realize how effing incompetent he was at even moving boxes. And then he fired me. I couldn't have been happier. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.